Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello folks, welcome back to the program. It's Chris live in central Pennsylvania on the 7th of May, 2026. It's a Thursday. Do you know where your children are? No, sorry, that was when I was a kid. All the televisions would ruin it for us because television networks would be like, it's 8 p.m. Do you know where your children are? You know, it was the signal, tell your kids go to bed. So as a kid, we hated that. Do you know where your children are? A lot of people don't know where their children are right now. They have no idea. Here in America, hopefully most of those children are currently in school. One would hope, if not all. Welcome back, folks. Yes, the broadcast a little earlier today, I have an interview with Collie Creel that was supposed to be an hour ago, but he had a very important meeting he had to take, and therefore we moved it until 6 p.m. And so in order not to interfere with Ronaldo's stream, I'm having my news early. It'll hurt my audience size, but you know what? It's not about that. I mean, I suppose it is, but anyway. We got to get to the news because we got a lot to cover in this 1 hour. I'm waiting to hear back from Collie. We're supposed to go in 1 hour, so hopefully I'll hear back from him. People are sending me messages when they know that I'm online, asking me to answer their questions immediately. Come on, guys. That's not very fair. Not very fair. I've just received 5 WhatsApp messages in the last 60 seconds while I was waiting for this to start, all of which are demanding my immediate attention. I cannot do that. Tian Fanikerk says, my heart is so broken, it seems we're not coming over. Why does it seem you're not coming over? Okay, I'll interrupt the news to entertain this. All right? It's a news broadcast, but your heart is broken, so please tell me why your heart is broken. And why are you not coming over? Have you changed your mind? Have you changed your mind? Angelique, Nicolas, Scoutlicious, Linda what? I don't know what I don't know, Linda, what your name is run off there. I can't read it. Pat Schultz, welcome to you. Johan Bernard. Chris, did you send me a message too? That makes 6. Last minute. Yeah, I just gotten a bunch of messages people are sending me, asking, when I'm broadcasting, asking me to answer the questions. Okay, well, I'm waiting to hear from Teeny. Funda Nest. Okay, thank you. 4 farm murders, 4 murders. I didn't get the full number on that. All right, well, I'm going to address this very quickly, okay? All right. Okay, this is where I get a little frustrated. People don't bother to watch my videos. Very, very frustrating. So, all right. So, I've addressed it in 2 videos. I'll put them up here, and people should have watched them. And I don't know if you're not watching them because you're just not watching my videos or because YouTube hides them, both of which are plausible. They have very few views, barely over 5,000 views for both of them. It's disgraceful. I appreciate all the viewers who watched it, but these videos should have 100,000. That's how much interest there is. I mean, I put the same thing on Facebook and I get over 100,000 views. And somebody told me that, well, Facebook counts it if you just scroll over it. I don't think that works that way, but even if it does, at least it means that it was exposed to 100,000 people. My videos aren't exposed to 100,000 people. They're just exposed to a few thousand people. And the only reason I got viewers is because the groups draw some over otherwise. So, okay, Teeny, again, I'll address this very quickly, and then we're moving on to the news, because we have only 55 minutes left now. Did you do a PRM email and or a statement of interest? And whether you did them or not, have you done an intake questionnaire? If you've never been contacted and you've failed to submit an intake questionnaire, you're going nowhere. I have told people since the 4th of November, hundreds of times, probably thousands of times now, that you must do the intake questionnaire. It says right there on the U.S. Embassy webpage, if you've never been contacted, you will not be contacted if you don't do the intake questionnaire. Done and dusted, finished and clear. So hopefully you've done that. If you've done that and you haven't been contacted, and first off, the 7,500, you're clearly not listening to me. Did you say 7,500 or did I miss it? Let me see. Find that very quickly here. Come on, where'd it go? I know I saw it here a moment ago. Oh, where did it go? I just saw it there. I don't want to misattribute something here and hurt someone's feelings. Oh, yeah. Tini Fanika, you're not listening to anything I say. I've been saying since it was announced that it's 7,000 for South Africans. And again, in both those videos, I mentioned 7,000. 7,500 doesn't apply. That's the first thing. Second, I've said this over and over again. I anticipate that the cap will be ignored. I even made a video explaining other programs, one of which is a potential solution. But beyond that, I've also covered endlessly several videos and every live stream about Reuters indicating sources in the White House, in the State Department, in Homeland Security have confirmed to them that the administration is going to raise the cap from 7,500 for the world, 7,000 for South Africa, to 17,000 this fiscal year. There's only 4.5 months left in the fiscal year. That's another 10,000 for South Africa. At the time that I did the first video on this, it would meant another 12,000, but now 1,500 of those people have come. I would be worried less about the cap and more about the fact that no one has contacted me. And if you haven't done the intake questionnaire, that would explain why. If you've done the intake questionnaire, then I can't explain why you haven't been contacted, other than the fact that there are tens of thousands of people ahead of you in the queue. All right, that's it. We're done. No more refugee stuff. All right. At some point, I'm just going to, you've not been rude to me, Teeny, so I'm going to be polite to you. But people have been getting awfully cheeky, disrespectful, and rude to me because their feelings are hurt. Their feelings are hurt because they demand, they expect. I've told, well, we're not done with refugee. We're going to do a little bit longer here. I've told you all from the beginning, no one's entitled to this. This isn't immigration. You're not entitled to come here. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It's up to them processing your case to make that decision. I can't influence that. You can't influence that. And getting pissed off at me or leaving my channel isn't going to solve your problem. And the expectation that you are owed or you should be here. I know of people who now gotten themselves in some deep kimchi, deep kimchi with their actions trying to influence this process. And they're going to regret it because they won't be coming to America. They will not be coming to America, the people who have done this. They made some big mistakes. And some of them tried to malign me. And I wish them misery in South Africa for their actions. And I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. All right, let's move on to the news. Jackie Two-Face, what an interesting username. Well, I'm not interested in Afrikaners. I'm interested in South Africa. I'm interested in Africa. So it shows that you just have a cursory understanding of who I am and my program. I've discussed this several hundred times over the past 6 years. If you're still here at the end of the broadcast and I get through the news, Jackie Two-Face, please ask the question again. I'm happy to answer it. But if people are here for the news, it's time for the news. I've already squandered 9 minutes, 12 minutes of this hour. It's time to do the news. So please come back and ask the question a little bit later. It's a fair question, but your timing is off. Okay? Exactly, Charles. They want to leave the channel. They'll still be in South Africa. They won't have any information. Exactly. There are no xenophobic attacks in South Africa, Kumbuzo Chivani says. Make it stop. Make it stop. No xenophobic attacks in South Africa. What planet is she on? What planet is she on, man? I mean, seriously. What is she drinking? I want some of that, man. I want some of that. Oh, dear gosh. I swear to God. Oh, I think I might have just wet myself. I'm going to choke. Oh, no. I think that... Nkosazana Dami Zuma. when people Zol, they put the saliva on the Zol. And they share that Zol. I think that Kabuza and Shivani and Ronald Lamola are sharing Zol, man. Honestly, folks, come on. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. I mean, what the hell? What the hell is wrong with this woman? There are no xenophobic attacks in South Africa. No, there are attacks on foreigners, but they're not xenophobic. Oh, okay. We're redefining the English language here, ladies and gentlemen. We are redefining the English language. I mean, seriously, give me a break. Oh, my goodness. Kombucha. Oh, this woman is dumber than I ever thought she was.
Stupid people should wear signs.
And here's case number 1 right there.
Neon bright so we can find a way to dodge their tangled mess. Avoid their chaos more, say less.
Hey, Kombucha.
Wear a sign, wear a sign.
There's none of xenophobia in South Africa.
Save me from your twisted lines.
Just attacks on foreigners.
Wear a sign, wear a sign.
Apparently that's not xenophobia.
Nada, don't waste your time. Politicians dance.
There's a politician.
Blatant lies with a practiced grin. Blame the moon, blame the stars. Blame the traffic or faulty cars. You think they're 6, not 35. Playing games to stay alive. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted line. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Nada, don't waste your time. Celebrities with tails so tall. Lost my yacht, it's so small. It's hard being rich, don't you see? You're living in your fantasy.
Okay, once more to express my frustration, not directed at the person who asked the question. It's a fair question. I presume the person was unaware that I made a video. But every month this calendar year, I've made a video detailing the number of refugees who've arrived in the country. I've gone and spent a couple hours analyzing the data, providing the largest number of refugees in the largest states that receive them. Every month, I have said hundreds of times this year that the arrivals report issued by the U.S. government comes out on the 5th of the month, unless it's a holiday or weekend, then it comes out on the subsequent working day. Yesterday, or the 5th, was a working day. I spent 2.5 hours analyzing the data, making a video, and publishing it. And I made a mistake in the video because I rushed to the recording. But I made that video at night. And I identified how many South Africans come over. 6,441. 4 of whom have gone back. So there's 6,397 here. You see my frustration? The video has virtually no views. Why is that? When people have questions. Whereas other people who steal my content aren't being shadow banned by YouTube, and they've got tens of thousands of views by watching my video and reporting on what I reported. It's such bullshit. Such total bullshit. Again, not directed to the person who asked the question. It's a legitimate question. Anyway, back to the news. But Kombucha and Savannah, she's high. She's clearly smoking something. What is that noise? Somebody's got a loud mower outside. Very distracting. No xenophobic attacks. There are no xenophobic attacks in South Africa. There have been attacks on foreign nationals, which is unfortunate. Law enforcement has to do their work. Well, thank you. You know, she should just shut up. These people are so stupid. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. She was briefing journalists the outcome of cabinet's meeting. She said the country had nothing to hide and would provide a report if the matter was put on the agenda. The Ghanaian government wrote to the African Union to put xenophobic attacks from public South Africa against African nationals on the forthcoming agenda of the June meeting in Egypt. How about xenophobic attacks against South Africans? Yes, they treat South Africans as if they're not citizens, calling them colonizers. Those are xenophobic attacks. She said the cabinet condemned the viral circulation of fake videos and images claiming to be attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa. Nshimini claimed the videos were intended to undermine South Africa's international reputation in its pursuit of a better African agenda. South Africa has no interest in a better African agenda. The ANC has interest in better perks for its cadres. They don't care about an African agenda. Where is the ANC in ending the conflict between Eritrea and Ethiopia? I sent a few peace observers years ago. That's it. Where is the ANC in the conflict in the Sahel? Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso? Nowhere to be found. Where is the ANC in ending Somalia? Nowhere to be found. What did the ANC do to end the conflict in CAR? They ran away. Where is the ANC in the slaughter of Tigrayan conscripts by Ethiopian military? Not a peep. The genocide in Darfur? Not a peep. No, the ANC is a transgressor, allowing the shipment of combat helicopters to a sanctioned, UN-sanctioned warlord in Benghazi, allowing its nationals from South Africa to travel as illegal mercenaries and murder Ukrainians for Russia. And the list goes on and on and on of the transgressions of the South African government under the ANC. An organization that claims it believes in multilateralism, but defies multilateral standards on a daily basis. Kambudza Nshiveni would do best to simply shut up, because every time she opens her mouth, she reveals just how stupid she is. South Africans within the right to protest against the spiraling illegal immigration challenge, but violence linked to those protests in the past is not acceptable. And law enforcement must deal with instigators. Opportunistic attempts to hijack the genuine concerns of South Africans about high unemployment and limited economic opportunities by mobilizing South Africans to destabilize the country, including mobilizing attacks on foreign nationals and the tribal mobilization trend, she added. The woman is absolutely delusional. South Africa is experiencing a rash of xenophobia, as it's experienced multiple times in the past. Foreigners are being blamed for the failures of the African National Congress. It's racist, incompetent, macroeconomic policies that were designed by kindergartners, not by competent people. Are anti-illegal migrant protests xenophobic? Is this actually a question? African countries raise concerns about violence as protesters claim illegal migrants are overwhelming the country's job market, education system, and healthcare services. I'm sorry. It's okay for South Africans to be upset about this, but when Americans are upset, we're racist? Groups such as March and March Movement have recently led protests demanding deportation of undocumented individuals. They argue illegal migrants are overwhelming the country's job market, education system, and healthcare services. The situation is increasingly volatile. Several protesters turned violent. Viral videos have surfaced showing locals assaulting individuals accused of being in the country illegally. Other African nations raised concerns. Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Lesotho have raised safety issues. Nigeria and Ghana also. Are anti-illegal immigrant protests xenophobic? Yes, they specifically target African Asian nationals in certain areas. 75% say no. Well, that tells you a lot about who reads the Times Live. Oh, my goodness. Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for it. Are you ready? Let me turn off the camera. We got to be dramatic here. Ladies and gentlemen, an unknown virus has broken out. The world is in chaos. Presidents, prime ministers, monarchs around the planet are shutting down societies, banning religious gatherings, forcing people to wear masks. You must get the jab. Oh, sorry. I was fading back to 6 years ago and the fraud that took place. Let's go to the latest and tell you how stupid people can be. I'm going to expose a few things in the following conversation about Hantavirus. And yes, I know about Hantavirus. I've been following viral outbreaks for 40 years around the world. It was a hobby of mine. It became a professional occupation too. Let's talk about Hantavirus. named after a place in Korea, South Korea, where it was first observed, which is the way we normally name viruses after the place where first observed in significant numbers. But let's talk about the Hantavirus outbreak, all right? And I'm going to show you how the media just don't bother to get things right. Okay. Health tests are underway in Amsterdam after a flight attendant shows possible hantavirus. A flight? Whoa. How does a flight attendant on a plane that didn't exactly land on a cruise ship get hantavirus? Maybe because the morons who took the people on shore didn't quarantine these people. Could that be the reason? Could that be the reason? Morons responsible for public health safety who don't know what they're doing. You isolate the vulnerable, you quarantine the infected, and everyone else goes about their business. No, we're letting infected people wander around with hantavirus. Now you might be saying, what does that matter? I've been told by the authorities that hantavirus cannot be transmitted to humans. Well, that's a lie. The Andes variant of the hantavirus can in fact be transmitted human-human. Human-human transmission. I'm probably going to get this video taken down for violating community standards when I'm simply reporting the science, the facts of the matter. The Andes variant of hantavirus can be transmitted human-human. The only variant of the virus that we know in the scientific world. Guess what variant broke out on a cruise ship? You want to guess? It wasn't the Korean variant. It was the Andes variant. And they lied to us. Oh, what a cute little mouse. A flight attendant's been hospitalized in Amsterdam after showing possible symptoms of hantavirus, prompting health officials to carry out further testing. Dutch Health Ministry spokesman Misha Strabinsky, that's not a very Dutch name, Strabinsky, said the woman was receiving medical care while doctors conducted examinations to determine whether they had contracted. Is she isolated and quarantined? The airline employee has reportedly been in contact with a Dutch passenger who was taken off a KLM flight in Johannesburg shortly before departure and later died from hantavirus. Oh, wonderful. She got it from the dead men. Wow. What kind of morons run our public health? Inside the global effort to figure out where hantavirus will strike next. Well, morons, it's called contact tracing. Let's get Dr. Fauci. That's right. Let's get Dr. Fauci to try it. He'll eat it. He'll eat anything. Health authorities, airlines, and the operator of the MV Honduras cruise ship are mobilizing to contain the spread of the pathogen that has killed 3 already. Rui Sinet, a YouTuber and travel blogger, was on the Honduras cruise ship when the captain announced that someone on board had died. We're not infectious. The ship is safe. Liar. In the days afterwards, people on board ate buffets, mingled, stargazed, attended lectures. Passengers offered comfort and condolences to the widow of the person who died. Nearly 2 weeks after the first passenger's death, 20 to 30 other people disembarked in St. Helena, a tiny British territory in the South Atlantic where they used to imprison Napoleon. The widow boarded a flight from the island in a wheelchair. Some of those passengers flew to Johannesburg and then traveled from across the world. Their dispersal has touched off a global scramble to track down who went where and obtain an obscure form of hantavirus. In Johannesburg, Jacqueline Veyer, the acting director of the Center of Emerging Zoonotic and Parasitic Diseases at South Africa's National Institute for Communicable Diseases. They still have a National Institute for Communicable Diseases, or is the ANC pilfer that too? Learned on Saturday morning that the passenger aboard the Honduras was medically evacuated to the country in late April. Late April? We're just finding out about this? How many people came in contact since April? Patient tested negative for corona, influenza, and Legionnaires. Hantavirus. I did the analysis, I redid the analysis, I redid it because I wanted to be sure what I was seeing. For a few moments, you're the first person to know what you're looking at. You already have a sort of idea what this means. Hantavirus is an unlikely source of contagion on a cruise ship because it's at sea. The virus isn't infectious between humans. It's fast-spreading respiratory illnesses like COVID, except the Andes variant. It belongs to family viruses carried by rodents and spread to humans through contact with infected urine droppings or saliva. Only one strain, the Andes virus, has shown limited evidence of human-to-human transmission. It requires very close contact or sharing food or living quarters, like on a cruise ship where there's no space. Tight quarters. Canary Islands president has opposed the Hanta outbreak cruise ship's docking. Well, smart man. The ship remains off Cape Verde where 3 passengers were evacuated as Spain said it could dock at the Canary Islands at odds with the local leader. The regional leader of Spain's Canary Islands said yesterday that he would not allow a cruise ship hit by the deadly hantavirus outbreak to dock in the archipelago. Decision is not based on any technical criteria, nor is there sufficient information to reassure the public or guarantee their safety, said Canary Islands President Fernando Clavio. Clavio said on X he requested a meeting with Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez due to the lack of coordination information regarding the cruise ship affected by Hanta outbreak. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Spanish are trying to infect Cape Verde. And thankfully, the Cape Verdean president will not allow it to happen. Well, the Netherlands flight attendant has tested positive. Is tested, for Hantavirus. A Dutch flight attendant is being tested for Hantavirus at a hospital in the Netherlands. That was as of 2 hours ago. We're waiting for the results. Ministry did not provide any more details about the case. It was not made clear if the flight attendant was showing symptoms or whether she'd worked on a flight. Yes, Dutch media outlets reported the flight attendant worked for KLM, the airline the woman had been scheduled to travel on. So, is Hantavirus contagious between humans? What we know so far. Interesting. Okay, so here, this is a story by the French press agency. Okay, so already we know there's a problem. It's from France. The French press agency, AFP, Agence France Presse. So this is their story, and it was published by IOL. How common are hantaviruses? Now check this out. These viruses are all over the world with infections occurring year-round. For example, China, Russia, and Korea report several thousand cases a year. In the Americas, Finland and France, there are several hundred cases annually. Okay. Now, here's the problem with that story. It's simply dishonest. Let me explain to you how it's dishonest. This is how the media mislead people. Okay. They say that there's several hundred cases. Now, you could take the Americas, Finland, and France. Okay? That's a true statement. But the implication is America, right? I mean, you read that. What did you hear? You heard Americas. You probably thought the United States. So let's just talk about how common hantavirus is. Hantavirus infections are rare in the United States, with approximately 15 to 50 cases identified annually, usually in the Southwest, in New Mexico, Arizona, and only after heavy rainfall and an explosion in the rodent population. Since surveillance began in 1993, a total of 890 laboratory-confirmed cases have been reported through 2023. Although it's rare, the disease is serious, with a 35% fatality rate. In France, hantavirus, specifically the Pumala virus, cases typically number about 100 a year, with 75 cases reported in 2024, an average of 108 cases between 2012 and 2023. Infections are mostly concentrated in the northeastern quarter of France and show fluctuations. So neither the United States or France have large outbreaks. Finland has the highest incidence of hantavirus infections globally. In Finland, which was lumped in with the Americas and France, which have low numbers, in Finland, approximately 1,000 to 3,300 cases of hantavirus, specifically the nephropathia epidemica caused by the Pumala virus, are diagnosed annually. And it's not just Finland. The second highest number of instances annually isn't even mentioned in this story. Hantavirus cases in Germany vary significantly, ranging from roughly 200 to 3,000 in peak years, often following a 2 to 3 year cycle driven by rodent populations. Average annual cases is relatively low, around 500. 500. Well, that's a lot larger than France with 108 or the U.S. with 15 per year. Yet the U.S., Americas, get mentioned and France in the same sentence with Finland, the largest number, and Germany's completely left off of it. That's not journalism. That's not honesty in science reporting. That is selective reporting to achieve a certain view by the audience. Germany's had major outbreaks of hantavirus in 2007, 2010, 2012, and 2017. Regular outbreaks. Yep. Well, the South Africans had identified that strain, as I talked about. It's the Andy variant of it. Wow. The strain was also identified in a British national evacuated from the ship on April 27th. He is currently in critical condition. The ministry said it identified 62 contacts through contact tracing, including flight crew and healthcare workers, but no hantaviruses have been detected. How in the world you have 62 contacts? If that flight attendant from KLM has hantavirus, you need to include everybody that was on that flight. Do you think flight attendants don't walk up and down the roads? They don't touch the chairs. They don't hand trays to people. They don't cough. They don't sneeze. Are you serious? How can the total number be 62 contacts? What about all the people on the cruise ship? There were 170 plus people on the cruise ship. How can it just be 62 contact tracings? Or are you counting the tracing of everybody on the ship as one tracing? Seriously? What is going on here? Do you have any confidence in these authorities when it comes to our public health? I don't. I have zero. After all, they defrauded and deceived the world with the COVID scam. Do you trust them at all? I don't trust them. Isn't it ironic that the only known variant of Hantavirus, and there are many variants, that can be transmittable human to human is the one we're talking about? Hantavirus breaks out all the time in the Southwest. I lived in Arizona, New Mexico. When it rains and there's grass, you just don't go out and play in it. Stay away from mice. Stay away from hamsters. Wow. U.S. health authorities are involved now. Monitoring Hantavirus cruise passengers in Georgia, California, Arizona. What do you mean monitoring them? Lock them away. People in the last 3 states are being monitored in at least 3 states after being on the ship. None have shown symptoms. Well, then keep them home, locked up. American officials said yesterday that residents in 3 states were being monitored for potential Hantavirus infections after being aboard a Dutch cruise ship where there's a deadly outbreak. Georgia Department of Public Health is monitoring 2 residents. They are currently in good health, show no signs of infection. The California Department of Public Health has notified by the CDC that California residents have been on the ship. The Arizona Department of Health Services received notification that 1 resident was a passenger on the ship, according to a spokesman. The CDC tracks Hantavirus cases in the United States. There were 26 cases in 2023. That's the most recent year with data. But the French press agency decided to mention that the United States and Americas are amongst the highest number of cases, which is just pure poppycock. Well, the National Colored Congress's member of Parliament, Fadiel Adams, will spend at least 6 more days in jail. He appeared in the Pinetown Magistrates Court on charges of defeating and or obstructing the course of justice and fraud. While his lawyer argued that his bail application should be heard, the matter was postponed at the state's request for further information to be gathered. Interesting. Fadiel Adams is in custody at a secret location. Security was tight as a tactical response team maintained a high-profile presence inside Court F. The court was packed with members of his family from Cape Town. The state was opposed to bail, citing his defiant behavior to adhere to a court order. But his attorney, Bruce Hendricks, argued the client had made several unsuccessful attempts to get police to confirm a warrant for his arrest. His attorney said it was not in the interest of justice to keep him in custody because he has minor children. Well, I'm not going to argue for or against Fadiel Adams' incarceration, but it is a sad story to hear. Ian Cameron says that Fadiel Adams went rogue. Look at that shirt. They're not like us. What is that? Xenophobic? A sworn affidavit by Portfolio Committee on Police Chairperson Ian Cameron stated that Adams was not authorized by Parliament or the committee to visit Westville Prison in an official capacity. He said he went rogue if he claimed to be acting on behalf of the committee. For months leading up to his dramatic arrest, the Political Killings Task Team had its sights set on National Colored Congress leader Fadiel Adams over allegations he unlawfully used his position as an MP to gain access to prisoners linked to the high-profile Sindizo Makwaka murder case. And an affidavit by Portfolio Committee on Police Chairperson Ian Cameron now appears to cast doubt on Adams' claims that prison visits were conducted in official parliamentary capacity. Wow, so Ian Cameron has dropped dimes on Fadiel Adams. According to the affidavit, investigators allege Adams visited the prison posing as being on official capacity and conducting interviews with inmates linked to political killings tasks without the knowledge or permission of the investigating team. The following dates, according to the team, some of the dates were hereby Adams visited on the, November 2nd, 2024, January 20th, 2025, and January 24th, 2025. He was not tasked or ordered by Parliament to visit and conduct any parliamentary duty at Westville Prison. Ian Cameron said, up until this day, I've never received any official report from Mr. Adams about any of his alleged visits to Westville Prison. I'm not surprised because if he did visit the prison posing to be in official capacity, that would be a breach of protocol since he never informed me as his superior and I never gave him permission to do that. Wow. Wow. Shame that Ian Cameron is too busy to answer my calls. I used to interview Ian periodically, but now that he's a bigwig in the GNU, he never shows up for his interviews. It's a shame because it'd be a great time to interview him. Former Chief Whip Michaelis, elected DA parliamentary leader, taking charge. The DA has elected George Michaelis as its new parliamentary leader, placing the long-serving MP and former Chief Whip at the center of the party's legislative strategy ahead of the local elections. He takes over the role after the election of Jordan Hill-Lewis as DA federal leader. Hill-Lewis has chosen not to become a member of Parliament and Cabinet, unlike his predecessor, the white Minister of Agriculture. The DA said he would spearhead the party's work in the national legislature. He previously served as the DA's chief whip in Parliament. From the Free State of Windberg, that's the town he's from. He's an attorney of the High Court, has been involved in politics for more than a decade. Of course, another career politician. The DA is full of them, just like the ANC. Arthur Fraser says we're all equal before the law. Really, dude? We're all equal before the law? If only that were true. If only that were true, ladies and gentlemen. We're all equal before the law. Simply not true. I'm sorry. Simply not true. If it were, it'd be nice. But it's not, Arthur Fraser. Former head of state security agency Arthur Fraser, who filed a criminal complaint against Ramaphosa over Pala Pala cover-up, says expecting the Constitutional Court will reinforce the foundational tenet that all individuals are equal before the law during its ruling on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, do not expect Friday's ruling to actually result in anything. It seems highly unlikely the Constitutional Court will overturn the authority of Parliament to oversee and investigate things. They have a right and a responsibility under the Constitution to do that. The real problem here is the lack of prosecution for money laundering, for customs violations, for perverting the means of justice, the ends of justice, for kidnapping, for torture, for a cover-up, for perjury. None of these charges being preferred against Cyril Ramaphosa or any of his staff at the location or any of the police from SAPS and the VIP protection unit. Nothing. That's where this should be adjudicated, in the courts, under the law, for clear violations of South African law. But it's not being done. It's not going to happen. So Arthur Fraser may say that, but no. Will Cyril be held accountable? No, not going to happen. The system is likely to protect President Ramaphosa in the Pala Pala matter, according to a political analyst. And this political analyst is correct. 100% correct. Yep, all of them. Kim Heller said Ramaphosa would like to be shielded from accountability even if the EFF succeeded on the merits. Well, they won't succeed on the merits, but it's just not going to happen. He's not going to be held accountable. It needs to have a prosecutor prosecute him. Well, more crooks in South Africa from a lack of oversight and accountability. The South African Army Foundation top brass have been debarred and fined $44 million. South Africa's financial regulators found that 2 senior members of the South African Army Foundation made significant unauthorized payments to themselves from the insurance scheme for Defense Force members. Angel Ero Ramapele and Maria Rosa Barros have been debarred and fined more than 20 million rand. Regulator says this, Pat, fine them 20 million. How about you fine them and then take back all the money they stole? Maria Rosa Barros, who appears to work in the group's financial accounting office, often represents events, was fined $20.7 million. Angel Errol Ramapele, the managing director, was fined $24 million. The South African Army Foundation nonprofit organization provides financial insurance and support services to tens of thousands of Defense Force members and independents. Members of the Air Force, Navy, and Marine and Health Service can join. The 70-year-old foundation has been stripped of its license to act as an authorized financial service provider. The authority said it had preferred information obtained during its investigation or referred it to the National Prosecuting Authority. Up to $50 million in monthly contributions to the foundation have been embezzled. Up to 50 million rand a month they stole. And they're going to be fined 20 million? Why aren't they in jail? Why aren't they in jail? Andre says BNSF sues farm operation for $6 million after fatal Page, North Dakota train crash, suing the farm and operator's estate. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. I don't know what BNSF is. Never heard of it. Floods ravaged Nelson Mandela Bay. Heavy snowfall threatens northeastern Cape. Weather's looking bad. Several roads in Nelson Mandela Bay remain closed with scores of KwaZulu residents evacuating to 20 community centers after heavy rains triggered widespread flooding. The municipality supported by Gift of the Givers is distributing food relief, with Sasco donating 5,000 loaves of bread to ensure displaced residents in community halls receive 3 meals daily. Several roads remain closed in Nelson Mandela Bay. Wow. Municipality wishes to express gratitude to Sasco, which donated 5,000 loaves of bread. So, unfortunately, I've seen a post with Retief Odendaal shaking hands with Gift of the Givers, Imaz Solutan. Mumtaz Suleiman. And after listening to Suleiman say that he doesn't care about the rule of law, that he follows Sharia, I've actually got a problem with that. Oh, last year in October. Thank you. Oh, well, they can sue him for $6 million. They aren't going to get anything. If he's an H-2A worker, he doesn't have $6 million. So, Tony Leon. Well, I've been preaching Tony Leon's praises, but Tony Leon has been joining Kumbudzo and Shivani in his Zol. They're enjoying their illicit substance. Oh, sorry. Hang on a second. I thought I sent him the link. Oh, that's the second time I didn't send my link. Okay, I got to take care of this very quickly. Give me a second here, folks. Schedule. Wow, I am really falling down the job here. My goodness. Silly, silly boy. Got to get my act together. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So Tony Leon, whose praises I've frequently sung, and suggested he would be the ambassador instead of, Rolf Meyer for the United States. Retief is really trying hard. I'm not a DA fan, but Retief has been at it before elections. Ronaldo election take is good. What's Ronaldo's election take? What are you talking about, Heidi? Yeah, Tony Leon was all right, but I don't know these days more. Yeah, no, he's clearly drinking something. I think he's zolling with Kumbudzo and Shivani. So let's just take a look at what Tony Leon has to say. How King Charles charmed Donald Trump. A dash of daring do, a dose of gentle humor, and that old favorite flattery made for a royal recipe that went down a treat in the U.S. Useful advice I received on arrival in Buenos Aires, as a bravely house-trained ambassador was offered by a veteran emissary. He advised the job of ambassadors to think twice and then say nothing. Go back more than 2,008 years, and Demosthenes summed up soft power then and now. Ambassadors have no battleships at their disposal, or heavy infantry, or fortresses. Their weapons are words and opportunity, and those are fleeting. I toggled between those formulas and survived 3 years in the post without scandal. Ibrahim Rasool did not. He was hoofed out of Washington, D.C. after 3 months as our ambassador. If any expectation proceeded how non-triumphal march of King Charles III through the U.S., they would have been on the low ball saying nothing trope. His late mother, the regal presence, much loved by Trump, once said, "I have to be seen to be believed." The king went a different direction. His visit might not reset the special relationship, though it warmed things up after Trump's anger for the UK no-show in Iran, and it got tariff relief for Scotch whiskey. And Charles certainly charmed its often snarling and hypersensitive president and his first lady and courtiers. The king offered a polite and witty counterpoint to the hubristic person he was there to court. Well, he says that the real monarch managed for a day or four to unite the red and blue states of the U.S., to which I have the following to say. It's interesting and disappointing all at the same time. The irony of a monarch preaching democratic norms from a country that arrests and imprisons its own citizens for standing on a street corner, holding the national flag, the Union Jack, and tolerating the enslavement of thousands of minor English girls, as well as trespassing and desecration of the grounds by arrogant praying Muslims on the very church he purportedly leads, the Church of England, is simply too rich to ignore. It is sad to see one of South Africa's few cogent leaders fall prey to media drivel. The visit did not unite anyone in America. It was simply an arrogant tour by a discredited monarch who was slavishly applauded by disconnected elites who sit in chambers doing nothing for our country except burying us in ever deeper debt. And that's my thoughts on King Charles' visit and Tony Leon's whoppish, slavish op-ed. Very disappointing. This is also a little disappointing because it almost blames it on Jan Serfontein, when the reason Jan Serfontein isn't a centurion as a Springbok is because of the coaching of the Springboks. Yeah, and some of that blame falls on Rossi Erasmus. Yeah, that's right. The Lord, the God, the deity himself, Rossi Erasmus, is in part responsible for Jan Serfontein not getting more caps. I thought he'd make a bigger mark, ex-coach on Jan Serfontein's career of what-ifs. Former junior Springbok coach Davi Tron said that Jan Serfontaine's retirement didn't just draw the curtain on what was an excellent career, but one that could have been so much more. The 33-year-old midfield back called time in his professional career that saw him spend 2 stints with the Bulls, which were sandwiched by an extended stay with the French top 14 club Montpellier. A medial collateral ligament injury sustained last month was the final limit. Serfontaine's career will go down as a massive what-if, with the talented center fitting in 35 tests between 2013 debut against Italy until his last test against New Zealand in 2017. He was 20 when he made his international bow and was 24 at the time of his last match, having played more matches than Steven Kitsoff, Malcolm Marx, Lut de Jager, Sia Khaleesi, Peter Steph Dutoy, Jesse Creel, Franco Mostart, Henri Pollard, Damien de Allende, and Trevor Nyakanye. After 2015, he was sacrificed. Jan Serfontein was a talent squandered by sorrow. Correct, Andre the Great. You are correct. That's correct. The rules that they put in place also were part of the problem. But they somehow found a way to let Faf de Klerk play. They somehow found a way to let others. And by the way, the rules shouldn't have applied to him. The rules were players who had less than 30 caps. He had 35 caps. So he should have been exempt from it. It was intentional sorrow. One of the greatest talents on the rugby planet. And Jan Serfontein got just 35 caps. I was so excited to see him come back to the Bulls, even though I'm not a Bulls fan. But alas, that's over. The Congo's president warns the next elections won't take place unless the conflict in the East is resolved. So basically, what Tshisekedi is telling us is that there'll never be an election in the Congo ever again, because the East will never be resolved. It will never be resolved, not as long as Kagame is the ruler in Rwanda. Congo's president warned yesterday the African Union will not be able to organize and hold elections after his term ends in 2 years unless the conflict has been gripped, the East has been resolved, and stability returns. Well, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. What a silly thing. I mean, that's just silly. Never going to happen. Never going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Chad declares national mourning after deadly Boko Haram ambush. The killing of 2 generals in Chad comes after a recent attack in the same region left dozens dead. Chad has declared 3 days of national mourning after Boko Haram ambush in the volatile Lake Chad Basin left 2 generals dead. It follows an assault by the Nigeria-based group 2 days earlier at the Baka Tolorom military base and saw 24 soldiers dead. From Wednesday, May 6th at midnight to Saturday, May 9th at midnight in memory of the martyrs who fell in the field of honor during the attacks by terrorist groups. Wow. What a volatile region. A truly volatile region. So sad to see. U.S. will sanction an Iraqi official over allegedly aiding Iranian oil sales. Deputy Minister of Oil Ali Maraj al-Baghdadi authorized trucking several $1 million worth of Iraqi oil per day to a smuggler who combined it with Iranian crude. He helped falsify documents enabling the blended product to be smuggled to the market disguised as purely Iraqi oil. Well, the U.S. administration is looking for other transgressors around the world who are doing similar things. The Israeli Defense Force claims they've killed another Hezbollah commander in an airstrike in southern Beirut. The Israeli Defense Force issued a statement today saying it killed Ahmed Ghalib Balut, commander of the Radwan Force, elite commanding unit of the terrorist organization Hezbollah. That war will never end either. Pakistan's foreign minister says that the U.S.-Iran peace deals could be sooner rather than later. Things are going well, according to him. Pakistan said today expects U.S. and Iran to strike a deal to end the war sooner rather than later. Pakistani Foreign Minister Tahir Andrabi said he remains hopeful the U.S. and Iran will strike a deal. We hope the parties will reach a peaceful and sustainable solution. The problem is, what will the deal entail? Are we giving Iran money? Are we letting them continue the nuclear program? If so, then this was a complete waste of time. New Zealand's minister criticized alleged police visit over controversial Facebook posts. Ladies and gentlemen, the police force has been so conditioned to be oppressive, fascist Nazis by Jacinda Ardern and her leftist scumbags during the COVID scam that they're still running around harassing New Zealanders over free speech. An Auckland woman reportedly visited by police over social media posts describing the country as New India. New Zealand's Police Minister Mark Mitchell has expressed his disapproval of officers' actions after an Auckland woman was allegedly visited by police over a controversial Facebook post saying the country does not have hate speech laws. Renee Rose Schwenke reportedly found police officers on a doorstep after posing for a selfie that appears to be taken in a cafe or pub with two men of Indian appearance in the background. The photo is captioned, "Welcome to New India, thanks to Luxeng," in a recent reference to Prime Minister Chris Luxon and New Zealand India Free Trade Agreement, which critics claim will lead to a substantial increase in Indian immigration. I accept the inquiry was made in good faith and was well-intentioned, but it did not meet the police's own threshold for further inquiry and should not have been forwarded. Police acknowledge this and are clear that people have every right to exercise their freedom of speech. We do not have hate speech laws, and New Zealanders don't want to live in a country where speech is policed, except it was policed under Jacinda Ardern, and transgressors, under their view, were punished. You're a fascist country, despite what your police minister says. China sentences 2 defense ministers on bribery charges to suspended death. General Wei Fenghe and General Li Shangfu are likely to spend the rest of their lives in prison, receiving suspended death sentences. Oh my goodness. The most senior officers so far are publicly sentenced in China's latest campaign to root out corruption. Wow. Three women arrested after these Australian nationals, who are not Australian, were returned to Australia, ISIS war brides. They claim they're not ISIS war brides, but they were arrested and taken into detention. The children will be sent to places to be de-radicalized. Shell reports nearly $7 billion in profit, while the rest of us are seeing surging fuel prices. The oil giant's earnings in the first 3 months of the year were more than double the previous quarters and follow similarly strong results by its European rivals. Why are they making $6.92 billion in 3 months when the rest of us are paying outrageously high prices? Why aren't they absorbing some of the costs? They're actually increasing their profit at a time when they're raising prices. So we're obviously being gouged. Vienna police prepare for protests at Eurovision contests where racist and homosexual bigots will protest the inclusion of Israeli competitors. Vienna police are bracing protests against Israel's participation in annual Eurovision. Intensive security measures will be implemented, including a drone ban within a mile of the contest. 5 national broadcasters, including Spain's RTVE and Ireland's RT, are boycotting contests over Israel's conduct in Gaza. And these are just racist, scumbag, Jew-hating Irish and Spanish. And to hell with them. To hell with them. The performers are not politicians performing actions. They're human beings. And the Irish have proven, as a government and as a broadcaster owned by the government, that they're racist pigs. Total collapse. Elections will expose Britain's fraying political system. Polls predict historic losses for Sir Keir Starmer's party on Thursday as immigrant reform makes gains and new era of multi-party politics takes shape. Tonight on Night Owls, we'll see what the results are. Wow, these look like ANC caters. Look at them. None of them are suffering for food. Wow. Wow, that's the Welsh party. All those folks are definitely not going without any meals. Wow. Marco Rubio meeting with the Vatican and the Pope. And I could care less. I could care less. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what's behind the secessionist movement in Alberta? Well, the secessionist movement continues in Alberta, and the referendum is coming up. They needed 178,000 signatures. They got 300,000. More than they needed. So the referendum will be held later this year. But it won't be that simple. After referendum, there's many obstacles to be overcome as they seek to get away from Canada. U.S. is awaiting Tehran's response to our peace proposal. And ICE agents have been barred from wearing masks in New York under state budget deal. Well, that's illegal. Federal law trumps state law, and their safety is more important than these scumbags in Albany. And so they'll wear a mask, and you attempt to arrest a federal immigration customs enforcement official, we will arrest and detain New York law enforcement for violating federal law. The Constitution is supremacy over New York. So go ahead and try it, New York. Go ahead and try it. I dare you. Well, the White House has looked in counterterrorism strategy to target left-wing groups and transgender ideology. Interesting because previous White Houses did that to people in the so-called right wing. But there are real concerns that need to be addressed. The Justice Department is now launching a civil rights probe into a prosecutor in Virginia. In Fairfax County, Commonwealth's attorney Steve Descano has been under attack from Republicans over his handling of cases involving immigrant defendants. Yep. So he is under investigation for his statements that he will not enforce the rule of law. And a judge has said the FBI can keep 2020 election records seized from Georgia as part of its investigation. Scientists have determined just how fast the universe is expanding. It's crazy. It's crazy. A galaxy 3 million light years away from us will move away at 46 miles per second, over 60 kilometers per second. A galaxy at twice that distance will be moving away at 90 miles per second, 120 kilometers per second. That's how fast the universe is expanding. We're eventually going to be all alone. There's going to be nothing left here. Just us humans. All right, folks. How do you know radicalized Muslims without criticizing their religion? Imagine government psychologists themselves trying not to condemn extremes while not breaking hate speech laws. Yeah, good point. Shell's not using South African oil or Iranian oil. So what? They're still gouging customers. Our prices have gone up 40%. Their profits have doubled. Somebody's making a lot more money. Yeah, just in Iron Heart, what a thing. That's going to do it for this stream, folks. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. I'm sorry I didn't get to answer the question of why I'm so interested in South Africa. You can ask that question to me tonight on Night Owls if you want to ask that question again. It's time for Kali Creel from AfriForum. You'll be directed there automatically. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you over in just a moment, okay? Give me about 2 minutes to get him set up. Cheers.